The slap heard round the world. Therapist reacts. I'm going to react to Will Smith, Chris Rock, Jada Pinkett Smith, alopecia, the slap, the Academy Awards. In the words of Will Smith in every movie he made in the 90s.
Damn.
Everyone's talking about it. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. In Chris Rock's words,
Will Smith just smacked the out of me.
So what happened? Well, Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, has alopecia, which is a condition where your immune system attacks your hair follicles, resulting in hair loss. And he made a fairly tasteless joke at the, he made a tasteless joke at the Academy Awards about it.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
And Will at first is laughing about it, but you can see Jada right here. She's not having it. She's not amused. And you can feel the air get sucked out of the room. And Chris Rock, he's like, yeah, okay, that was a good one. Like, he knew the joke was not his best. But Will Smith wasn't having it. He gets out of his seat, and he walks up and slaps Chris Rock across the face. And lots of chatter about this today. Was this toxic masculinity on Will Smith's part to act in aggression and violence? Or was it awesome that he's defending his family and defending his wife, and as he alluded to in his acceptance speech, to be a protector and to be a defender of the people that you love and care about, like Richard Williams was, right, that he did the movie King Richard about. And so I'm just going to share and weigh in on my 2 cents on the whole thing. But very first, I want to share a Facebook post by Vanessa McWilliams, who herself has alopecia. I just want to read her perspective, and I'm going to share a little bit of my thoughts as we go along, and then we're going to dive into the actual incident and Will's acceptance speech. And the link to Vanessa's post I'm going to put in the description so you guys can see it yourself. She says, I don't know where to start. As a woman who has lived with alopecia for 28 years, losing my hair at 9 years old and being teased relentlessly for the way I look, my heart absolutely broke for Jada Pinkett Smith tonight, as Chris Rock made a cheap shot and made her the butt of his very unclassy joke about her hair. After a moment of processing it all, my first thought was this: it is never okay to use someone's appearance as entertainment. How are we not past this in 2022? I agree. And this happens on both sides of the political aisle. This happens across cultures, across religions. We laugh at the appearances of other people. And it's cruel, which I thought, for whatever other flaws it had, the original Dumbo Disney film did a really great job of illustrating just how hurtful this is, right? This is not us at our best. And we can be funny without making fun of someone's appearance. Now, there's a difference if it's playful teasing between people who love each other. And like my wife teases me about my crooked Owen Wilson nose, and that doesn't hurt my feelings because I know she finds it attractive and charming because she's told me so, right? And but there's a difference between that and poking fun of a medical condition or really any other appearance-related thing on live global television. And you see it on late night talk shows, you see it all the time. We're going to make fun of people, and that's how we're going to make our money. And Will Smith had a point in his acceptance speech when he said,
now, know to do what we do, you got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay.
So many things have been accepted as normal that we forget that there are real people on the other end of that. And I've read some comments about me on this YouTube channel and on my other YouTube channel, Cinema Therapy, that have stung because there's a real person on the other end of your comments reading this. And some people have criticized my appearance. Some people have criticized my intelligence. Some people have criticized my morality or my integrity. And it hurts. It hurts when you're out here trying to do something good and you get that. Back to the post, I never condone assaulting someone. I honestly think this was taken too far. I gotta be honest, and this will shock some of you because I take a strong stand against toxic masculinity, against violence, against all sorts of things. My initial gut reaction was that was awesome. As a married man, and maybe as someone who was raised in a different generation, I thought it was awesome to see someone stand up for his wife. Now, Will Smith laughed initially at the joke. Let's talk about that. He's seen laughing, and a few seconds later, he's coming up on stage. People are wondering if this is a staged joke, except for once Will's in the audience cussing out Chris, and Chris is responding, you could tell this isn't staged. This is very real. So why would he laugh? Maybe he thought it was funny, and then he saw that Jada didn't think it was funny, and then it shifted and he decided to stand up for her. Or maybe he was already laughing from previous jokes And when you're like, if you're at a comedy club and you're laughing from previous jokes, sometimes like the next joke comes and you start laughing and then you go, ooh. And it may be that that's what happened with him. Like he had a moment to consider and he realized, no, that didn't sit okay with me. But as far as, so my initial reaction was I thought it was awesome. And then I sat with it for a while and I thought, I do think it's important that he stood up for her if she wanted him to. Maybe she didn't want him to. I do think it's important to stand up for the people that we love, and I do think passions were running high. And there's a lot of bumpy history between Will and Jada. There's a lot of pain there. And when there's a lot of pain there and you want your relationship to work and you want to make it last, there's a lot of triggers there. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I know Will and Jada have been very open about certain things, and so I can respond to some of that. But the fact is, like, I don't know everything that was going on through Will's head. I do know that I believe that physical violence should be saved for protecting yourself or protecting another person from physical attack. And someone has said, but what about emotional violence? You know, and I'd actually love to hear in your comments below, do you think what Will did was toxic masculinity? And by toxic masculinity, by the way, I don't mean that masculinity is toxic. Far from it. I'm referring to violence and aggression that is unnecessary or failure to express emotions in a healthy and productive way, which is how some men are socialized to be if they're going to be men. I prefer to call it limiting masculinity. I think you can be tough and strong and a protector and a defender, and you can be tender and compassionate and caring and loving and nurturing, and you can be all of those things whether you're a man or a woman or non-binary or, you know, whoever. Do you think it was toxic masculinity, or do you think what he did was the right thing to do? Because my initial reaction, as I said, was I thought it was awesome, and the more I sit with it, the more I'm not sure. I'm sure it felt great, and it felt great to watch somebody put someone in their place for insulting the other person's wife. But does that mean that that's the answer? Will didn't know he was going to win, but I would have loved to have seen, without a violent outburst earlier, him stand up and during his acceptance speech, pay tribute to his wife and call Chris Rock out that wasn't cool. That would have been awesome. There's a lot of other ways he could have handled it, but the fact is, like, you don't strategize in a moment like that. And yeah, he could have recognized he was worked up and stopped and calmed down, but he didn't. So what's going to happen there? I'll be interested to see whether charges are pressed, whether the public sides with Will or not. But back to the post. We also don't know the entire story behind the scenes of what they are going through as she deals with her alopecia, so I won't speculate why Will did what he did. And that is true. We only see the tip of the iceberg with anybody at any point in time. We don't see everything else they're carrying. We don't see everything else that's going on for them. What I do know is the look on Jada's face. I've seen it in the mirror a million times, embarrassed and uncomfortable at the hands of someone else's judgment and stupidity. I will be totally honest that as much as I don't condone what's happened, a small part of me felt like someone stood up for us tonight. We all deal with things differently. And I hope this is a big eye-opener that society needs to grow up already and that we stand up against this type of entertainment, making jokes at someone's expense. Again, stand up not through assault, she says. How can we expect our kids to not tease and make fun of others when they see us watching it on TV? And she says our alopecia community is still reeling from the loss of one of our own alopecia kids from suicide because of teasing. I want to insert my own personal experience. I don't have alopecia. I have rosy cheeks, and depending on, like, my body fluctuates in weight, and sometimes I'm quote unquote in better shape and other times I'm not. And growing up, I look back on the pictures and I don't think I was even an especially overweight kid, but I thought I was. And other kids saw that as a screw that they could turn. And they called me Butterball, like after the turkey, Butterball turkey, and they teased me until I cried. And that wasn't a one-time thing. That was years of my elementary school, of kids teasing me about my appearance. I have stitches on my eyes right here, so when I smile, my eyes bunch up. I mean, at this age, it's all just smile lines anyway. But when I was a kid, there was racial humor directed at me, and they would do this. And they would go, Oriental, Oriental. Which, first of all, is a horrific, terrible, ugly, racist thing to do, which adult me recognizes. Kid me knew that they were just treating me differently and that they were having a laugh at my expense. Adult me, if someone calls me Oriental, I'd be like, that's cool. I'd be like, I love Asians and I love Asian culture. But kid me didn't understand any of that component of it, just understood I was being teased. And I would cry, and I felt alone, and I felt like I didn't fit in. And they saw this as great fun. Kids do that because, if you'll pardon my saying so, kids are stupid. Their brains are still developing. They exercise poor judgment. How sad is it when adults never grow out of that and treat each other that way? And that's not an excuse for kids either, because kids can be kind. I think tonight was a reminder that we all need to be kinder to each other because we truly never know what someone is going through, and even behind the fun of jokes, someone's feelings are being hurt, and there comes a point when someone can't take anymore. Tonight, I'm proud to be an alopecian. I stand beside anyone who feels like they are different or not good enough. I stand with you and I stand with Jada. Chris Rock's joke was out of line. An apology should be made. And everyone's saying Will owes Chris the apology, and that's, probably true. It's technically assault. And I've heard that Chris went up to the family and apologized later. But everyone's focusing on slap and calling Will Smith a toxic male. But of course he got up and he apologized to the Academy, and he didn't exactly apologize to Chris from the stage. He expressed why he did what he did, and that doesn't make it right. And I'm not saying sometimes apologies turn into justifications. I don't think Will Smith is a bad person. I think we can debate the rightness or wrongness of this particular action. I don't see him as a bad person. And when he talked about wanting to be a vessel of light and love, I believed him. And how he talked about how Denzel pulled him aside after and said, when you're at your highest is when the devil comes for you. He knew that that's not who he wanted to be. Right, who he was 15, 20 minutes earlier, that's not who he wanted to be. New developments in the couple hours since I filmed that video. So Will Smith and Chris Rock have both issued public apologies. Felt like I should read them here because they're actually, as far as apologies go, they're pretty good. Chris Rock, as a comedian, it can be difficult to understand which lines are to be crossed and which ones aren't. Last night I crossed a line that I shouldn't have and paid the enormous price of my reputation as a renowned comedian. Comedy is never about poking fun at or making light of people with major ordeals happening in their lives. Comedy is about using real-world circumstances to create laughter and bring light to an otherwise dark world. With that said, I sincerely apologize to my friends Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, and the rest of the Smith family for the disrespect and disregard I displayed that was unfortunately broadcast for the world to see. I hope that with time, forgiveness can come of this situation and we can all be better, more considerate people in the end. Pretty good. I'll back you up on that, Chris. Will Smith, violence in all its forms is poisonous and destructive. My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable. Jokes at my expense are part of the job, but a joke about Jada's medical condition was too much for me to bear, and I reacted emotionally. I would like to publicly apologize to you, Chris. I was out of line and I was wrong. I am embarrassed and my actions were not indicative of the man I want to be. There's no place for violence in a world of love and kindness. I would also like to apologize to the Academy, the producers of the show, and all the attendees and everyone watching around the world. I would like to apologize to the Williams family and my King Richard family. I deeply regret my behavior has stained what has been an otherwise gorgeous journey for all of us. I am a work in progress. Sincerely, Will. I think the debate should continue about what is and isn't healthy behavior, what is and isn't right in the public square. But it's good to see both of them own up because the fact is we're all human. We all err. And a large measure of who we are is how we act and react when we have been out of line and when others have been out of line. And so I think it's good to have the debate about the behavior, but I don't think we should be pointing fingers or hurling judgments at individuals here. So my hat's off to both of them. You might cynically say, well, of course they're going to apologize. It's a PR nightmare. But I don't know. I like those apologies. What do you think? I think there's a place to be a defender and a protector. Not because one is a man, but because one has the ability. But one has to judge when that is. And to me, physical violence should only be used as a response to a physical threat. That said, I'm not approaching the situation with judgment. And the fact is, in Hollywood and everywhere else, it's far too common that we poke fun at each other's appearance, or we roast each other, or we're rude to each other, and then it's just accepted, as if the feelings of human beings don't matter. Playful teasing can happen between people who love each other, but if both people don't think it's funny, if only one person thinks it's funny, then it's not playful teasing, it's hurtful. An apology should be made, amends should be made, and behavior should be redirected. What do you think about what I've said today? Am I off? And what do you think about Vanessa's comments? Do you think she's off? Do you think she's on? I'd love to hear what you have to say about the whole Will Smith, Jada Smith, Chris Rock Academy Awards situation. If you are wrestling with anything related to this or not, you can meet with a member of my team for a complimentary 15-minute consultation. The link is in the description below. What's going on in the news that you would like me to respond to, get my thoughts on, let me know in the comments below. And how would you deal with someone mocking your appearance or the appearance of someone you love? I'd also like to know that. So until next time, keep shining because we need your light, and I've got a different video for you right here, right now, where I dive in deep and give you everything I've got. We'll see you next time. Oh, there it is. There's that video I was telling you about. You know you want to watch it, so do it.